as I mentioned, I'm primarily a metal drummer, a hardcore drummer. If anyone's heard how you're supposed to play those drums, it's louder than a gunshot sometimes. And according to my wife and neighbors, I'm able to play these drums at like 2 a.m, and no one knows about it.
Hello and welcome to another lesson on building a home recording studio. And today, this is going to be another fun one. This is a podcast episode with one of my clients who built a soundproof bomb drum shelter in his backyard. I think a lot of you will see this as a prototype for what can be done on a slightly smaller budget, and you can get an amazing results. I think you'll find this really incredible with how we created something where he can literally play metal drums, which he said himself can be louder than a gunshot, at 2 a.m. and no one will hear it. He also has this really cool HVAC system that uses a $300 air conditioner to heat or to cool his studio, and he has a very inexpensive electric sideboard heater. So this whole HVAC system probably costs less than about $1,000. So if you're interested in learning how we did all this, how it turned out, this is going to be a great video and podcast episode for you. Before we dive in, as always, I have nothing to sell you. All I do is work with clients. That's how I make a living. So everything I give away is for free. I have a free soundproofing workshop that is 45 minutes of in-depth teaching, going over everything that you need to know about soundproofing in that. So to sign up for that right away, just go to soundproofyourstudio.com/workshop. That is soundproofyourstudio.com/workshop. All right, enough of me jabbering here. Let's jump in to this podcast episode with my client, AJ. Here we go. AJ, welcome. Welcome to this special episode / podcast YouTube video craziness. So just a little, I guess I already probably had an introduction on this, but AJ, maybe just tell them a little bit about your project, what your goals were for it, and then how we connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm AJ. I am a drummer out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, primarily a metal drummer, but I can play it all. I can do whatever. And playing the drums is just my life passion. Playing music in general is just my life passion, right? And so I've always struggled with, how and where and when I could play my drums, especially, with family, with, there needing to be a budget if I had to choose to do like a rehearsal space or something like that. So I just, I was talking to my friend and trying to figure out ways to save money and try to book a, rehearsal studio with them. And, hey, you want to share a rehearsal studio and this and that, blah, blah. And he's like, nah, man, but why don't you just like build a shed or something? And I was like, you know what, that's crazy. I don't think that, but it's crazy enough to work. And so I did a little bit of research, into soundproofing, and in my head I'm like, this is crazy. There's no way that this will work, or I'll be able to build a soundproof shed. But the more and more I looked into it, the more and more it felt very realistic to be able to control sound and be able to stop it. And I turned to what most millennials turn to, which is YouTube, for how-tos, and you were the first person to pop up in my Soundproof Is Shed YouTube search. I believe it was your video on, it was a very big shed, one that had like a loft in it. I think it was there in the Nashville area. I can't remember the exact, I think it was like a 4-part series or a 3-part series of yours, where you were doing exactly what I thought I was going to do, which was modify a tough shed, modify something that you could just buy from Home Depot, and then be able to stuff it full of mass and stuff and hope for the best, right? So that was my original goal, was to have that, was to just approach that project. And I had very little, thought of budget at the time. I just knew, like, you know what? No, if this is a huge goal, and if I was to have this, it would be incredible. Like, it would be out of this world. And then through your YouTube video, found the link to, hey, book a call with me, and I did it. And I was pretty sold. I was pretty stoked to hear how realistic it was, and I was also very interested and very excited for you to tell me, hey, there's better ways of doing this than trying to modify something. There's ways to be smart about this, and with a little extra research and a little bit more time and effort into doing a more from the ground up build, find out that you're going to have a significantly better end product in the end that I'm happen to be sitting in. So
yeah, you're in it right now. Yeah, and just so like people understand just give them like a quick teaser of like how it works, because you told me right before this call, and this is what everyone wants to know always. Well, like, did it work? Like, did it soundproof the way you wanted it to?
I mean, I will say I have to mention how terrified I was. I'm a very anxious millennial, and so anyone can tell you, like, yeah, it's soundproof, and you were very honest, and you were very modest and very truthful about, like, we're going to do the best we possibly can without spending hundreds of $1,000s or tons and tons of money here, right? We're going to be as realistic as possible, but it's going to work, because there's actual, like, real science behind this. And you're right. Yes, I already spilled the beans that I can play. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm primarily a metal drummer, a hardcore drummer. If anyone's heard how you're supposed to play those drums, it's louder than a gunshot sometimes. And according to my wife and neighbors, I'm able to play these drums at like 2 a.m, and no one knows about it. It is dead silent. I remember the first time I put my drums in this room, and I was like, all right, here we go. I closed the doors. I started playing, and I had my phone out, like, near my house, like, recording. And I couldn't tell you, like, the start and end of me playing drums. Like, I hit record, I walked in, I played drums, I walked out, and you just don't know I'm doing it.
That's
you
so
don't know
sick,
I'm actually
man.
you don't know I'm actually playing drums in that video. I mean, even furthermore, you think about this being, at my house in my backyard. Everyone else is in their house, so not only that, any sound that leaks out in the places where it's going to leak out, you can kind of hear like a faint little pop outside of the building. But with people inside their house, it is, no one, like I said, no one knows I'm even playing drums in here.
Yeah, it's amazing. And just so people know, AJ's studio, your studio was the first time, and maybe it's so rare I get to do this, but we did a true room within a room. Like, you have a decoupled ceiling built off the interior walls, and then then on top of that, you have 4 layers of drywall on the inside of your walls and your ceiling, and then we have 2 layers of OSB sheathing on the outside. Plus, his ceiling has an attic where all the HVAC equipment is, and we have, like, we'll talk about that, because that was like a crazy. I'm actually really excited to hear about
definitely.
that. But that just gives you guys a perspective that, like, AJ let me go all out, and very few people are like, let's do 4 layers of drywall, and I'm like, it is legit.
I had to. I mean, like I told you, I'm an anxious person, and I needed to know, like, I'm putting an investment in this. This is important to me. I need to know that I can use this whenever I want. And so that's when it was like, all right, let's talk about, more. What can we do to make it? I remember at one point we were talking about what was it, the cinder blocks and sand, and how crazy it'd be. But I'm glad we did it the way we did, because I mean, and I'll mention 1,000 times, the contractor, the builder who we ended up hiring, was incredibly excited and very, very great to work with, and understood your plans and understood what needed to be done. He himself was a musician. That's why I even hired him. So he understood everything and was very to a T and detailed with this stuff and went very overkill on a lot of it.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, you lucked out, but I also think you were good at hiring, and I think everyone can find the right contractor who is excited, has like a good work ethic, good attention to detail. I mean, any contractor who's really good should be able to do this, especially when they get my plans. But if you get those contractors that are like, it's just another job, I want to finish it as fast as possible, we're going to cut a corner here and not tell anybody, that's the type of stuff that you can't really deal with on these projects. So I'm so happy to hear that it worked out the way it did.
No, it really did. Yeah, I'd say his name's Clint Coleman. It's wild because Angie's List, oddly enough, wasn't doing me very well. It actually, at one point, a crazy story, trying to find a concrete person, sent me a scam artist, someone who came to my house, right? Went to my backyard, said, it'll cost this much. Thank goodness the next day, more reputable individual popped up on my Google rather than Angie. I looked up the previous person and was known for hey, can I get money up front, and then never show up.
Yeah.
So it was very stressful, and it was a lot, but I was very, very lucky to find, his name's Clint Coleman. He is a musician. He performs actually in a very well-known country band around here called the Neon Prophets, and they play, if anyone's familiar with the country music scene here, they play Billy Bob's, they play Stockyards, all that other great stuff. But on the side, him and his very good partners and friends, build. They build for more high dollar individuals doing very detailed design work. So when I brought this up to him, he was like, this is going to be a fresh new kind of take on what I normally do. And he was great. I mean, he didn't, cutting corners is not the right word. He would always communicate with me when he saw something and was like, hey, could we do this? The big one was the originally for even more overkill, right? We were going to do the really hardy plank siding, but I felt that he did a good job to communicate with you and me that not only is more expensive material wise, but also very difficult to work with. It probably would have been worth it if I only did 2 layers on the inside. But obviously the results are in, and him helping to communicate certain things with me ended up working out. So
yeah, and I just can't emphasize enough that relationship, and I find a lot of times contractors, I love it when they're like, hey, what if we did it this way? And I'm like, I didn't think about that. That's a great idea. And the more we build studios, the more we learn. And now I have another success story. So when someone else says, hey, I want to do exactly what you did, I can be like, hey, we did this design and this is how it works. And I agree. I think in a lot of ways, actually, when we're looking at cost of materials, hardy plank is heavy and it's fibrous cement. But it is hard to work with, and it's costly, and it's actually bad to breathe. It's not good for the environment or you. So there's this, we can use cheaper materials like drywall and OSB sheathing, and that will be our the heavy duty soundproofing thing. And then we can do a nice, beautiful exterior that's cheaper. That doesn't have to be so heavy duty. So I think that worked out really well in your favor in this. And I just want to say too, that I originally talked AJ out of doing the prefab shed, and this is another example why that's so beneficial, is because we could do the exterior exactly how we wanted. And the prefab sheds, you can almost never do that. So that's probably the biggest benefit of that as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say you were really good with that, because I realized that you're right. If I was to do the prefab shed, then I'm basically taking it apart and putting it back together to actually be successful. And I was like, well, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, totally. That is very true. And that's what those prefab sheds, they look really awesome when you're gonna buy them, because you're like, oh sweet, the whole thing's done, and they just build it in a day or two. But then the reality kicks in once you have to soundproof it and you realize, oh, this is not going to be so easy. So let's talk a little bit about the craziness of your HVAC system, because this is
Hmm.
something I had never done before. And I am not one to shy away from just trying something crazy. When a
Yeah.
client's like, let's do it, I'm okay with it. So we
Yeah.
created
Let's
an
go.
exchange room above your studio where,
Yes.
yeah,
I tell people about this all the time because I think it is the wildest thing. Um, yes, you are right. I have an attic. I don't know. I ensured to get pictures of it. I don't know if you have those handy or if
I
you're
have
able to.
one picture of it or two pictures of
Yep.
it, I think.
There should be two. Yeah, because I want to make sure I got the AC unit, the baseboard heater, and then more importantly, the two boxes, right? So yeah, I tell people about it all the time because I think it's the craziest thing that it's the baffle box system, right? Having the two boxes in the attic. And so the attic doubles as both a storage area, but also that is where the air is conditioned. So one baffle box to suck up air from in this room up into the attic, and then the other baffle box to take the now conditioned air and bring it back in. And it's just it blows me away because the baffle box system, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It's you explained to me the whole S pattern in there. Um, I trust me, I will do my best after this to continue looking. I was trying my hardest to find pictures of the inside of the box, but imagining this S pattern of the insulation in the box so air can flow through easily, but sound has a lot to bounce off of. And yeah, it is actually, even with it being this big open hole up
Yeah.
here, right? Um, and you can even see, like, it's crazy. I don't know how detailed you could see up there, seeing the insulation and even the two frames from in there. Um, but it works. I mean, it is silent up there. It's a big hole that just goes into an attic that is not soundproofed. And there's little to no sound coming out of the attic, even as well,
Yeah.
because of this these baffle box system.
It's crazy, man. It blows. You have to build them to believe it works. Like,
Yeah,
if I had never done it
yeah,
before, I would freak out. I'd be like, we can't put like a 1 foot by 1 foot hole in this
nope,
structure.
yeah. I was. I told you I'm an anxious person. I go. There's no way this is gonna work. This is gonna work at all. And lo and behold, it does. I couldn't believe it. It sounds gonna escape. I don't know how detailed you could see. I was pointing away from me, but you see the two frames, and so sound's gonna go, into those frames, and it's gonna go out of the baffle box and out of any cracks in it is caulked, but any sort of cracks or anything, right? It's going to find ways, but it takes a while for it to hit the insulation, hit more insulation, go try to get out of the fan, hit the fan, right? And then it's in the attic, which originally we weren't going to finish. I thought, oh, that'd be a cost savings. I'm glad I did because now that's more where it won't come out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful system. So just so you guys understand, and I'll show like I have the 3D model I can show them as well. So if you don't
Cool.
have pictures, like it's all good. We'll show like B-roll of the 3D model. But what's so cool is we have this like through the wall air conditioner that I bought or that you bought that I
Mhm.
found on like Wayfair for like $300,
Yeah,
right? So
it's
like
nice too.
yeah, it's nice. Yeah. And like I
It's
love this
AC.
system because it's so cheap. Like these mini splits can cost like $7,000 to install. And we put like a $300 air conditioner through the
Mhm.
wall upstairs in the attic, and then we have the whole attic conditioned, right? And then you put
Mhm.
the heater up there too, right?
Yes, I haven't turned that on, but yes, there's a baseboard heater in there as well with
Yeah.
a thermostat um that will control the heater. So the
Right.
thermostat controls the heater, and what's cool about the AC unit is that it's on my phone, so I can completely control it on my phone. I could be sitting in my house, and I know it's a cool day outside, so I'll turn off the conditioning and turn the fan on and get it conditioned that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's been, I guess you finished this not in the heat of Texas summer, right? So you haven't experienced the Texas summer yet.
No, we did.
Oh,
Oh,
you
we
did.
did.
Yeah.
We finished it. What was it called? In like right at the end of August time frame. I
Oh,
think you hit me
perfect.
up like around like September-ish, right? And we had a lot of what was it called? The exterior wasn't done, but we had most of the interior and a lot of the HVAC done right at the tail end of summer. And Texas summer lasts forever, so even in September and some days in November, it was hot, hot. And yeah, it was 100 degrees outside, and cool, crisp, 70 something in here. So
Awesome. Man, that's music to my ears. I love it.
it works, yeah.
Yeah, so the exchange room works really well, and I just am glad that people now realize that. One curious thing is like when you go up into the exchange room, does it feel like extra cold in there because it has to be cooler up there to bring enough cooling downstairs? Or
It does. Yes, a little bit,
yeah,
but not much. It works really well to put the whole building in an equilibrium where it is going to be colder up there, and it's
hmm,
going to take more time to come in here, and it's not going to be perfect, just sucking air like nothing, right?
hmm,
But it works,
yeah,
the whole thing. The other thing that helps, right, is this whole building on top of, since it's the two frames, there's two layers of insulation
yeah, it's
it
super well
around this
insulated.
whole thing, right? So well, as I told you, I often opt to just shut, I'll on these cooler days that we've been having now in Texas, I just shut it off, or I just keep the fan on to just blow like the natural air from outside in. And it feels like the same temperature in here all the time.
Good. Well, that's perfect, man. That's what I like to hear. So I'm just so glad that that worked out. And then for the exhaust fan, you ended up doing something different than the plans. Is that correct?
Yes, we left it mostly closed. We didn't actually. What made more sense to us was we have the room being conditioned, right? And then the one baffle box sucks air in. The other baffle box pushes air out, right? The original plans, I think, had the outtake going straight outside. Um, but what made more sense to me, and we have the option to change that if we ever felt like we needed to, but so far it's working perfectly, was just let the whole system be a cycle, right?
Right.
Where it just blows back into the room, that air gets conditioned and then sucked, back in. At no point did that cause any sort of, pressure issues or anything like that. No mold issues, no nothing. It's very, very dry in here. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, or I mean, it's just perfect humidity. I have a few sensors to keep an eye on all that stuff, but everything just is conditioned in that room. So it's just one big
Yeah.
circle, basically.
Yeah, and you're getting fresh air through the wall. The through the wall
Yep.
air conditioner does bring in fresh air, right?
Yep.
It does have like there's an outlet for air to come in.
Yep.
Because that's what I was worried about was like, oh yeah, a lot of these air conditioners are like closed systems. They don't actually pull in any air through
Mm-hmm.
the wall. So you want to make sure that you have ventilation getting in
Yep.
there. Which the upstairs is in itself not technically airtight, so there is some breathability there, anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. And
So
I mean, like I said, I'm glad I still finished it, but it's not like the two layers and
no,
craziness up there. No.
no, and not like yes, acoustically sealing every corner, and so like literally there's no air transfer at all in that room. So yeah, super cool. This is like a design that I'll then use as like, hey, I've done this before. It worked.
Yep.
You were the first person to be the guinea pig. But it's again, it's like coming back to the physics and the science and be like, hey, this should work. This is what we're gonna do. We have confidence in it. We're
Mm-hmm.
using a lot of theory and science behind that, and sometimes we take a risk when we're
Yeah.
doing really cool things. That's just the way it
Exactly.
is.
I was very worried about a lot of things, but staying educated on all this stuff really helped me to feel a lot better about it. Um, there was, no corner cutting, but when it made sense, there were times when we just discussed, okay, maybe we need to try this, maybe we need to do this, especially as we got into building it, right? Like I said, even some of the HVAC stuff, right? Maybe we should just keep it this way and try it out. Yep, and it works. So it's very, very exciting. And I know there's like the other thing that's kind of crazy is, and all the videos I see, everyone kind of talks about like, well, the doors are the hardest thing. And that was the final piece of the like actually sealing this thing up puzzle. And these doors are crazy. I don't know how much like talking about the doors.
Oh, people love talking about doors, man. Let's dive. I was gonna say that's probably the next logical thing to talk about.
Yeah. I took a picture. I think that was one of the pictures that I sent over was the doors, and then also you can kind of see the two frames
Yeah.
whenever you open the door. So it's double doors, right? One for one frame, one for the outer frame. My contractor is well versed in building doors, so he was more than prepared to build, a door from scratch, solid core and go from there. But what we ended up doing was we bought two solid core doors, standard 30, I think it was the 30 38, I believe.
Probably
The
36.
Yeah, so it was a solid core, just got something, the cheapest solid core I could find from Lowe's, got two doors, right? Um, and then the sheet metal,
Yeah.
which that was just that was so much. That was so crazy because they don't. It's not like UPS ships two giant slabs of sheet metal, you know. So I'm getting phone calls early in the morning from freighters just being like, "All right, so do you have your forklift bay, prepared for us?" And I was like, "Sir, this is a house. This is my house that you were." He goes, "Oh, all right. I just put it on the driveway then." I go, "Yeah, I just put it on the driveway." So we had the two custom, what's it called, pieces of sheet metal that got attached to the doors. Um, that's when we learned, and this is interesting and might be worth noting. That's when we learned that if you use Metals Depot and they do not, if you tell them I need it to be 38 by whatever, right? It's really going to be 39 by like 41. And we learned that the hard way, that they expect that people who are buying this stuff have metal tools, have tools for working with metal. Luckily, my contractor did, but it definitely caused some headache, but we got through it. We're able to fix the metal to the doors, and then to make it look very seamless, we put the siding on the doors, both on the inside and the outside, just to kind of make a door look kind of finished and cool and make it also a little bit thicker. Because
Yeah.
I bought a thinner door. Um, I don't know if that was by accident or what, but I ended up buying a thinner door, or it was to save money. But luckily, we had plenty of siding left to make it just a little bit thicker and have it be. He even designed it in a way where on the outside it looks it's like you can't see the door. It's like a camouflage door
Oh,
kind of
that's cool.
setup. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
But
I
it's
think
yeah.
that was another like very experimental door design because I knew how much weight we needed to match the walls. And
Hmm.
I was like, and I knew you were on a budget, so I was like, man, we need to figure out a way to make this door super heavy. And I kind of decided, I was like, I don't want to use lead anymore. Lead is toxic. And I
Yep.
was just like, let's not do it. So the sheet metal was like a new idea where I was like, oh yeah, let's use sheet metal. And I'm so sorry that it came in a different size. I had no
We
idea.
had no idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had no
totally no
idea.
idea. Yeah, you're like, I want this exact cut size. This is what I want for the door.
And that's not
But
what they do. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
but the metal adds a ton of mass to the door, as you know.
Yeah, I get very worried. I have two young kids, and I use this to show them music and everything like that. And I get super worried. Like, this isn't a door you want to get your finger caught in, you
No,
know?
no,
So,
definitely not.
I'd be very cautious with these doors. but they are heavy. What was the final? I obviously we couldn't get a weight, but by design,
They
was supposed
should
to be what?
be. They should be. So 2.2, we'll say, is roughly one layer of drywall times 4. So that's 8.8 times 20 is usually, so about 176 pounds each is what we're
Yep.
shooting for. They're probably over that. I would
They're
imagine.
definitely. I feel like they're definitely over that. I
Yeah.
feel like it.
Yeah.
It's a. I had to buy a door, and of course, Lowe's and Home Depot. They have doors, right? They have a lot of
Mhm.
stuff that are pre-hung and have designs on them and everything. And I was just like, I just have a piece of wood that can be a door, right? And so I had to just find that. So I finally landed on something that did have like, cutouts in the design, and that was even starting to worry me because I'm like, all right, am I making this door too thin?
Right.
Is this not as heavy as it needs to be? But
Mhm.
that's where my contractor was smart enough to go, okay, well, we'll do the sheet metals on the insides and then the sidings on the outsides and just kind of make it this solid thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, that did it. So
Yep.
with the siding and the sheet metal, it's probably heavier than that even.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is amazing. And then you got to remember it's like 200 pounds doors. So we have 400 pounds of mass
Of just
in that door of just door. Yeah. So pretty
The whole door.
hardcore, building crazy heavy doors is just insane. It's really difficult. But yeah, you guys did it in the end, which is awesome.
Yeah. We ended up opting for a 3-hinge. I mean, we're talking about it right here. Right. So we ended up opting for just doing, 3 hinges, right? Because originally we bought the piano
Yeah, the
hinge,
continuous
right?
hinge. Yeah.
And he like that was another thing. I just, like I said, I was so happy he did the math, and has, like I said, has worked with doors. That's one of his main things, and said that the 3 hinges would be enough. And at no point have I had issues with these doors
Yeah.
at all, or any
Yeah.
different feeling, right? Nothing
Yeah.
feels off or different. I definitely feel like as wear and tear goes on the weather stripping, I'll probably, update that or something, right?
Mhm.
But otherwise, nothing feels off or wrong about these doors.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think having a contractor who has a lot of experience creating doors
Mhm.
is huge because for someone who's never hung a door before, especially a really heavy door, I mean, it is an art form. It is not just
Yeah.
it is not just like a technique or like a skill. It's like this is an art form of getting it to be plumb and getting everything adjusted, and you're constantly tweaking and shimming. And so, honestly, with a lot of my clients these days, I've just opted for buying pre-made doors from the
Mhm.
ISO store.
That's yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically what we did, but
Yeah.
with plenty of modifications to
Yeah.
get this figured out.
Yeah. Yeah. And cool. Let's see, I don't know if you'll lose your internet connection, but I'm kind of curious to show people as you walk outside.
I won't. So
Yeah.
get this. I thought for sure I was um I was gonna have zero internet connection, cell phone service in here.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, good.
Magically, I have the Wi-Fi in my house
Oh,
does
cool.
get in here. I don't know how. Sound doesn't come out, but Wi-Fi does. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wi-Fi goes through
let's go
soundproof walls.
let's go figure. All right.
Well,
So
that's good to
yes,
know.
let's get out of here. You see the sheet metal now.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool look. It's definitely funky.
So let's see. Let's see if I could switch the camera. Flip. Okay. Better?
Yeah. Yeah. We can see it.
All right.
It's so
So
cool.
I'll just close this, show off the frames while I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can hear me okay. Well, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, I'm just so I can stay mobile, I'm only using the audio on my phone. Is it all of a sudden very loud with all the trees and the wind and everything?
Not on my monitors,
Oh,
but
okay.
I think it's
Maybe Zoom's
suppressing.
keeping that away, but
Yeah.
it is loud out here. It is very loud out here. And you can't hear a thing when they're in there. So yes, here we go.
There it is, the drum shelter, the bomb shelter, as I
Exactly.
call it.
Exactly. It's tornadoes in Texas, and I know where I'm going now.
Yeah, right.
I'm going in here. So yes, um, we already talked about like the attic. There's the AC unit.
Yep.
What's it called? So in order to get up there, and forgive me, this is kind of the last thing is painting the actual exterior and painting the ladder. So excuse that that's not fully done, but
No,
I'm
it's all
still able
good.
to use it, right?
Yeah.
So that's for access. It's really nice to have something built rather than just using a ladder.
Yep,
These are all the,
definitely.
and I make comment of that because these are all the things that like when we were first talking, I'm like, we'll cut that corner. I don't need to build the ladder, right? Well, now that I have it, it's like, oh, well, no, yes, I did.
Yeah, especially because
Does
you
it-
were going to bring your drum bags and stuff up and down from there.
Yep.
So,
Let me close that real quick so I can get this. So yeah, I mean, we can highlight whatever you want to highlight first. Either going either up there, the electrical, the electric system. What do you want to highlight first?
well, I think let's go up there and look in there because I'm just like
Yep.
curious to show people. This is
So
kind of
again,
fun.
this is pretty nice having the ladder here so that I don't have
Yeah.
to be all unstable in my ladder.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
like drew all the. I can show you guys the plans. It was pretty cool. It looks just like the plans, which always blows my mind. And we had this like custom door up
It is
here.
bigger than the plans, by the way. So we made the decision to make the whole attic much bigger.
Oh, good.
So that is something that's different. So let me turn on the light in here. Much more better.
Yeah. So there's our baffle boxes.
Yeah. Intake, outtake. There's the AC unit
Yep.
and then the heater, right?
Yep.
So we have electrical in here. I'm able to store things in here. And yes, it is colder in here. It is a little bit colder in here, but it's also very cold outside. So it's very cool. Yeah, I'm able to carry stuff up, no problem. Everything's just, it's so great in here. Able to just kind of like come in here, be able to clean the filter and do everything I need up here.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and it's well insulated too, which is nice. And then you put the plywood over the insulation, so it's a conditioned room that's finished and sealed up so that it stays cool up there, or hot in the wintertime.
Yeah, exactly. I've been a little hesitant to turn on the heater because I don't know. I just excuse me, I'm trying to walk out here at the same time. So I've been hesitant to turn on the heater just because every time I play, I'm gonna heat up the room anyways.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
I haven't needed to turn it on. In Texas, I mean, we all of a sudden will randomly get like just deep freezes, and so that's why I wanted something.
Yeah.
But it's there. I have the options.
Yeah,
and so
you
I'm
need it.
able to come in here whenever. Yeah, this is only the one layer. All right, still finished up here. But yeah, that was one modification from the plans was making this significantly bigger.
Yeah, did you guys just make it taller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing. What was the original plans? What was the
I can't
height?
remember. I feel like it was maybe 4 feet at the peak.
Right. No. Yeah, this is 5 almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like 5-ish feet.
Yeah.
I'd
Well, that's
say.
good to know too. There's something cool about your studio. It's like this prototype for like anyone could build this in their backyard. And I'm sure people are going to be curious about the cost, and you don't have to share final numbers, but I think it was probably more than you wanted to spend, which is usually the case for everybody.
It is, yeah. I knew it was going to be up there, especially because our original discussion was an 8 by 12.
Yeah. And what are the interior
8 by...
dimensions again? What are the interior dimensions again? I can't remember.
The interior dimensions ended up being somewhere around 7 to 11-ish.
Yeah,
Probably
7.
a little bit less, more like 10 and some change, and then 7 and some change. Something like that.
So roughly around 70 square feet.
Yeah, the exterior dimensions are 10 by 12.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, the interior dimensions with, we got, opening this back up to highlight, we got the 2 layers of OSB for this frame, and then the 4 layers of drywall, even past, on this frame, um, ends up being, and they're what, 3/8, right? So that ends up
Five
working out
eighths.
to be,
Yeah.
yeah, that ends up working to be, um, and not as much as I thought. I thought it was going to be way tighter on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
than it actually was.
Yeah.
Excuse me 1 second. I just wanted to change my shoes here. All right, there we go.
Yeah, it looks
Perfect.
cool back there, man. And, we
It,
got it like nice and snug next to the other shed.
yeah, yeah. I was very worried about building conditions and dimensions and whatnot, but it ended up working um, great. Yeah, I wanted to highlight kind of the electrical system,
Yeah.
and though we saw the inside of the attic, but it's kind of crazy to see how, in order for us to have as little penetrations as possible, everything's going through the attic,
Yep.
right? The only things that are going through the actual room are the thermostat or the heater, and of course, electrical.
Yep.
And so every bit of electrical is just through that one little penetration right there.
That's how you do it.
And that's it.
You guys did a
So
great job.
everything else is all up to code and set up properly to get the Wi-Fi in. Our attics are not finished. Most attics are not finished here in Texas, contrary to where I'm from in New York. So I had to climb in my unfinished attic with all that insulation, breathing all that in to
Yep.
put the Wi-Fi, through, which you have to see, but it's not that exciting. And then I believe this is significantly different from your plans. We opted to do a sub panel.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was in your. I don't believe it was. I think
I
it
don't
was
think it
just
was
like,
in the plans, and that's a smart decision. I have a sub panel on my studio as well. But you want to have that ability of control with a separate building.
it really is great. I mean, I don't have to worry. I don't even have the heater on. All right, so
Yeah.
this was very cheap, very worth it. Again, I can't stress enough like how great Clint was, because on top of what he does, as a musician and as a builder, both him and his friend who built this are both master electricians. So
Oh,
that's where they
bonus.
were able to make that decision and go, no, we're doing it this way. This is
Yeah.
going to make your life so much easier, so much better. And it really has. It's
Yeah.
really
That's
nice to know
awesome.
I have all that control. And everything routed to have exterior lighting. They're all motion detected. So as I walk out here, everything turns on and I could just
Yeah.
walk right in, late at night and be able to utilize the studio.
That's so great. I'm so happy for you, AJ.
It's great. It's really great. Like I said, I got to paint this thing still,
Yeah.
but it's there.
Yeah. It is there and it's functioning and it looks great. I really do like it. Man, it's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to get Clint's information because, I get a lot of builds in Texas and having a good contractor is just the best. So if he's interested in doing more of these, that is such a gold mine to have someone who does this level of work. Is there anything else you want to share before we kind of wrap this up?
I can't think of any. I mean, we went through, I think the other thing, really quick, the acoustics.
Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about the acoustics. I know acoustics in a room this small are challenging no matter what, but we did add some panels in.
Well, I was very, I was very nonchalant when we were first talking about acoustics because, I was like, well, it's going to be soundproof, so I don't need it.
Yeah.
What do I need acoustics for? Like, I'm just here to play drums. But it is because it's basically just this echo chamber, right? Um, it is very loud in here without them.
Yeah.
I was like, I've made a huge mistake thinking that this was not necessary. Very, very luckily, even prior to me getting in contact with you, I have a very good friend who's a woodworker and built these with me a very long time ago. I actually built them for the rehearsal studio that I used to be in, which I could have just kept doing that, but that would have been, $400 out of my pocket every month till
Yeah.
who knows when. So we talked about budget and how, it gets expensive, but I don't have to say the exact number, but if you were to look up average cost of a tiny home, which is what this basically is, that's how much I ended up probably a good 10 grand below the lowest number, but so it was definitely not that much, mostly because of there's not a ton in the interior, just one room.
Yeah.
But the cost of me spending $400 a month till I don't intend to quit. Obviously, hopefully, I don't intend to quit music anytime soon. It makes it so much worth it. It makes it so worth it to just do it. But I built these panels for that reason, right? And it is very, very necessary. It is great in here. I mean, you can, I hit my snare drum, it reverberates off the cymbals, and that's about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's amazing what even a little bit of acoustic treatment. And I mean, you have several panels, and I guess we had an acoustic cloud, which you didn't do yet.
We did. I think I even told you we opted no.
Yeah.
Because what was it called? That was something that I was like, we could just add this later.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the lighting design in here is very minimal. I wanted it that way because I use this as like a video studio. Mm-hmm. And so I don't even know if you could see like the light up. No, you probably can't, but I have a light up there and a couple other lights more in the style of like tube lights, right? Yep. That are great for video and provide a pretty cool, ambiance in the room that I'm like, no, this is what I wanted, right? I didn't need like a lot of lighting. Yeah. So really, I only have 4 tiny little can lights that are lighting the room, which was very interesting to see them have to like sculpt the 4 layers of drywall to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So they got the 4 layers of drywall up around the back of the can light?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. I can't even remember.
It's kind of like because it's a brick and then the light, right? That's how all of them are. And so they had to sculpt the 4 layers of drywall to place it in there and then have it covered, right? So it is very interesting. But again, that's all I wanted. I wanted something small, nothing crazy. And with all of that being designed in here, that sort of left the ceiling as the only open thing. Which I like I said, I don't know if I want to do a cloud. I do have a lot of stuff mounted on the ceiling. I do have, that's a camera mount.
Yeah.
So it shoots straight down on the kit, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have an angle of that. And then my overhead microphones are ceiling mounted.
Right. It's a great way to do it.
That helped a lot with space, being able to utilize as much space as possible.
Yeah.
With it being, what did I say? Probably somewhere around 7 and some change by 10 and some change, I think, is the interior end up being. It's very, very tall ceiling. But even with that, I'm able to do things like mount microphones up there, or my studio monitors are mounted on the wall. And with the 4 layers of drywall, I'm not afraid to mount things.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably feels like you're drilling into solid wood. It's like
it does.
You don't really need drywall
anchors, but it hurts to me. I don't care how small the hole is. It hurts to like make a hole in this.
It does.
I don't care how small it is.
Yeah.
but I sit there and realize like, no, with the four, it'll be fine. It'll be okay.
It'll
So
be okay. Yeah, I've
it's
put
not
so
like I
many holes in
mounted,
this.
my guitar stand and or my guitar wall mount, and all of a sudden the whole neighborhood can hear my drums. So we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you realize, it plugs the hole. You're not doing the most terrible thing by putting tiny holes in the room. Well, we got to wrap this up, AJ.
Yeah.
But I think I'm sure people are going to love hearing your story. And I know I enjoyed just hearing your perspective on something that we worked so hard on in the design phase. So to see it all come together is amazing. I am going to be taking a trip to Texas in 2025. So I'll let you know.
Hell yeah.
Because I have to do a studio tour. I think I'll have 4 studios I need to visit. So.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
1000%. Please do.
Yeah, so we'll
Please
do like
let me know.
a real proper kind of video
Studio
thing
tour,
together.
yeah.
Studio tour video. But yeah, definitely get in touch. Reach out to Clint. If you guys are building a studio in the area, it sounds like he did a great job. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. All right, what'd you guys think? Pretty cool, right? So AJ's an awesome guy, as you can tell. He's a phenomenal drummer, which you can tell by the B-roll that I put in there. Definitely check him out. He's awesome. And this studio is something that I hope becomes like a prototype for what can be done. Maybe we could build studios like this that have the plans, we have the proof that it works, and something like this could be built in anyone's backyard. And I'll be honest, yeah, it's a small studio, but if that's what you're trying to do, like some drumming, some practicing, some content creation, this is a doable design for you. So if you're interested in that, definitely let me know. For those of you who are on this journey, again, check out that free soundproofing workshop. Just go to soundproofyourstudio.com/workshop to dip your foot in the water. But if you're one of those people that's like, you know what? I'm convinced, Wilson. I want to work with you. You clearly know what you're talking about. Then skip the workshop altogether and just commit. Save some time, some money, and you'll be glad you did it just like AJ did. So if you want to do that, definitely check out the Soundproof Clarity Call on my website. So just go to soundproofyourstudio.com, click on the Soundproof Clarity Call button, and you'll fill out like a couple questions just to make sure that we're a good fit. And then you can have a Zoom call directly with me and we can talk about your project, and it's awesome, and decide if we want to collaborate and build your dream studio together. So I hope that's for you. Again, for those of you who are new here, my name is Wilson Harwood. I am a soundproof studio designer and acoustician based out of Nashville, Tennessee. I look forward to teaching you all more about home recording studio design next week, with another episode from one of my other clients where I go behind the scenes into his studio design and how I design, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy that too. All right, see you all later. I'll talk to you soon.